All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another TI Testimonies video. Today we have Katie here, and she is going to go beyond targeting and reveal some massively powerful information for the whole world. Yeah, Katie.
Hi. Hi, thank you for letting me join you, and I'm so happy that you are interviewing me today. Where would you like to start?
How long do you believe you've been targeted? Why do you think that they're targeting people? And what do you have for all the targets for information to help them out?
Okay. Uh, the technology's been on me since 2016. I knew I had a stalking problem since 2014. Uh, Going through the process of finding out about the technology and everything that goes on with neuroweapons, Havana syndrome, cyber weapons, being targeted, game stalked. I now realize that my stalking problem started when I was a university student at the University of Incarnate Word in San Antonio, Texas, in year 1995. And I didn't really think about it too much. You know, the normal things of getting photos stolen out of your car, clothes taken from your home, just little things. It wasn't enough for me to worry about it. In 1998, I moved to London, England, and all my problems dissolved. I didn't have any stalkers. I didn't have any people overly attached to me. And I went to university and graduated in London, England. And then that's where I became a journalist for CNN London. Life was amazing. I know that a lot of people have heard my story. I had a great life. I was popular. I was smart, top of my class. I was living life. I met my ex-husband when I was a junior in university, and it was love at first sight. And to this day, we are the very best of friends. And what broke us up was immigration and these gang stalkers. Um, so I did not have a serious problem of anything till I returned 10 years later back to Bernie, Texas. And things were being taken from me and my home. When my husband and I returned to Bernie, which is right outside San Antonio, Texas, which is in the hill country. It's a very pretty area. My clothes would be missing, my earrings would be missing, and my parents had a very big, large acreage and a home and a guest house. So when we returned to the States, they said, just stay in the guest house until you get your husband through immigration. First year, he was not allowed to work. So that was perfect. And we got to live rent free. And then I could find a job and we could start life over. And so stuff was missing, and it was looked to made me believe that my mother was taking items. Who would think that someone was coming onto our property to steal my belongings? So there started a wedge between my mother and I because I felt like she was taking my items, and then when I asked, she said, "No, I didn't touch it," and then they would be completely gone. So my husband and I always felt it was my mother, and we did not like having that thought. Um, in 2014, my husband and I had to separate because I was working too much. I was working 80 plus hours. I was in the automotive industry, and I was the number one equity manager in the entire nation. So I represented every make and model of car you can imagine. And I was very talented at making money, not only for my employer, but saving money for the client and getting the results that were expected of my employer. I knew how to bring in millions of dollars and make everyone happy. I'm just very gifted at coming up with solutions and thinking out of the box. When I moved to Bel Air, Texas, which is a real pretty area in Houston, everything was fine, wonderful. I was learning how to live on my own. I had not been single for 16 years. So, being a single woman, trying to work, trying to figure out how to date, I got on online dating. And this is where I got heavily targeted. And my group targets women and men, I think. I can only talk from my experience on online dating. I went on to Match.com. I went on to most every single one out there. Plenty of fish, and a guy named Blake Davis started being relentless with me at the beginning. He would say very rude things, and he was very obsessive. And I had never experienced a personality like that before. And it would bother me because he was so hurtful with things that he said. But, I would just go on and go to work and forget about it. I soon figured out that the people I was talking to online were not the real people the photos represented. So someone else was impersonating Blake Davis, or someone else was impersonating another guy named Corey Ray. And as soon as I figured that out, and I found a file on my phone called Crybaby, my home got broken into. And personal things were taken, from lingerie to shoes to clothing to jewelry.
So just
And
to recap for the viewers, what you're saying is that the person that was talking to you not only was using a fake name, they were masquerading as someone else. They were using someone else's profile that was a real person and changed the name of it to fool you.
correct. And I'm sure they did that with me for many years, because all my online dating profiles got excessively, incredibly popular. I was hit nonstop. Well, now I realize that from the online dating, that's where they were getting my schedule, my personality, and they were figuring out who I was.
So were they
As
going beyond what would be considered, scammers doing what they're doing for scamming, and this is personally targeting you?
Right, correct.
Okay.
And we all know that there's a lot of people targeting online dating for murder. I didn't realize it was tied into technology that no one in the world would ever expect to be on us. Neuroweapons, Savannah syndrome, cyber weapons, direct energy weaponry. I have every single technology that's out on me, and I am sold as a living, breathing, live, real time video game. And I know that a lot of the people understand how the software works. It does work like a video game. Um, and so I am sold globally. This is a $250,000 educated woman, and I'm not saying that to brag. I went to private university. I never broke the law. I was very popular. I continued education and learning nonstop. I could be a professional student all my life. I love to learn, and I love to be involved with people. Um, I never did anything wrong. I was happy go lucky. And then all of a sudden, my life just got destroyed. I got broken into. My car started getting stolen, getting broken into. I went to the police, as you do. And I met a very nice policeman in Bel Air, Texas, and I said, I think I have a stalker. And I was very pretty then, and I was very small. I weighed maybe about 105 pounds, and I'm not saying that as a bragging thing, but I need to kind of give you a background of what has happened to my body since the beginning. I worked out every day. Didn't eat sugar. I didn't eat junk. Just very clean. I went to and I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm jumping around. I went to the police and I said, I think I have a stalker. Can I get a restraining order? Someone's broken into my home and my belongings are being taken. He says, have you seen them? And I said, no. I said, but I do have online dating that I speak to, and I think it's one of the people I speak to on online dating. And he says, I can't give you a restraining order until you physically see them in person. When you see them in person, you look in their eyes, come see me, and we'll catch them, and we'll get the restraining order for you. And I said, okay, no problem. Never met anybody, never saw anybody, never felt anybody, lingering in the bushes, any of that, like you see in the movies. So I kept on working, and things started escalating. Um, I moved because we had a flood in Houston, and it destroyed my house. I was trapped in it for 3 days, and it was a very traumatic experience for me. I'd never gone through a flood. And so I moved from Bel Air, Texas, over to the Heights. Found an amazing little house. It was pink and white, and I called it my artist's two-story little bungalow. Once I got over there, I thought, okay, I've moved. I'm not going to have any more break-ins. And life was great for the very first month. And I was very happy working, had lots of friends, going out, doing lots of, social activities. I am an extreme extrovert. So I don't sit at home and be an introvert. I get out, I mix, I mingle, and I make friends everywhere I go. No one is a stranger to me. Um, and life was great. Then about a month later, I went to the back of my house where I had like a storage unit in the back of the house outside in the backyard. I opened it up, and that's where I kept like Christmas decorations, the Christmas tree, and things that you don't need inside the house where you just keep them in storage. Uh, there was a key to my house on the ground when I opened the door, and all my stuff that I had put in that storage room was gone, stolen. And I go, oh, great, it started over again. It was very disconcerting for me, and I was a bit alarmed. But I'm not a wimpy little wallflower, and I'm not saying that as a mean thing if people are wallflowers and shy. I'm not a shy, timid person. So I knew that there was going to be a problem. So I kept on being very vigilant and like if I went to the grocery store to be aware of my surrounding, if I went out with my friends to be aware of who was coming up to me and who would linger far too long. But I wasn't doing like so many targets do when they find a gang stalker, they just get outraged at him and don't let go. I was never like that. I was just very alert of my surroundings, which I've always been, but I would be a little more alert and I would take notice of anybody that was if I had been at the grocery store and all of a sudden they're at the coffee shop and all of a sudden they're at the same party that my friends and I are at, there's a connection. So I was looking for that person
Yeah,
that was
for
breaking
sure.
into my home.
Did you
And
notice anything beyond, physical kinds of things like, dream manipulation, thought manipulation?
I
Any
didn't have I didn't have
verbal?
the I have the Dream software on me, and it runs 24/7, and I've had it put on me since hard, like full time hard, since 2016. Yes, in 2014, right after I went to the police to say that I had a break in, I would get these fake, ridiculous dreams that I knew were not dreams. And it was kind of like a daydream state you would be in. Like I'd get in the shower and it's kind of like a daydream feeling, and they were too cartoon and they were too extreme and they were too satanic, which is not my personality whatsoever. And it
Yeah.
never registered. My mind and body never said that's a dream, that's me something just thinking daydreaming. What I knew it was fake, and I knew it was something
So it
synthetic.
seemed like a simulation, and it wasn't.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Because we
Yes.
have a lot of people that have said their dreams are being manipulated, and I'm
Yeah,
personally one of them. I can attest to knowing the difference between, a dream and something that's like the movie Inception.
right. Right.
Yeah,
And
there's definitely that.
my perps are obsessed with video clips, and they will copy video clips from movies, old movies from the 80s and the 90s. They'll take TV clips, and then they'll make their little software where they do disgusting things. And mine are all
Yeah.
rude, crude, beyond.
I guess
I
it's
can't
more
even.
like the Matrix, not Inception, because Inception's a shared dream. Matrix
Right.
is a simulation. I know what
Right.
you're talking about. They're actually able to take MP4s, movie clips, documentaries, make their
Right.
own pornography, their own
Yep.
snuff films, and then force
Yep.
them into their victims' minds.
Yep, and that's what I have 24/7. So it rolls through my eyes 24/7. I always have something rude, disgusting, awful, nonstop. And my perps are obsessed with children and animals, and that's all I'm going to go into detail here because what is run through, no living person should ever see, and no living person should ever make.
So
I
would
mean,
you say that, what they're saying and what they're doing is so heinous and, unspeakable that you literally can't talk about it?
oh, I can talk about it. It's just that it's awful. I'll tell you a simple little thing. Like I told Chris, DJ Chris on Targeted West show, we were talking. He has dream manipulation too, and he has the dream software on him. And at that time, I was speaking to him. It started out with a little video clip of the little black and white stick figures. So they'll make him like do a little dance or move, and then it goes into a video clip from a movie with Tom Cruise in it. and then it'll move on to children being sexually abused by animals, and then to the point where they are showing a bloody murder of a child. So that's
Uh,
how the dream
they
simulation
ever
of the
tried
video
to flip flop, like, try to get you attracted to somebody in the dream and then change that person to somebody else right afterwards or anything sick like that?
They
To,
do all kinds of stupid stuff. One of my perps is obsessed with open mouth. Anything to do with mouth, and anything that can go in a mouth will go into a mouth. They have an obsession. I mean, it's beyond. That's like their fetish. Yeah, so I get it all. And they also anything I see through my eyes. I have the technology where they watch through my eyes, so everything I see gets recorded, and then they'll play back what I just say you and I went to the movies 3 days ago and we were buying popcorn or something. They will run that video footage of everything that I looked at. And if I were looking at you, and they will run it again. And they will have a recorded video clip of that and run it through the Dream software.
are
It's,
they using neurolinguistic programming, verbal mind control
yes,
techniques?
yes, I have that. And I have the forced speech on me. Where and all that I have where they try to interrupt you on the EEG board where I'm speaking, and then they try to hit a word in to go through, um, so that you lose your train of thought, so you can't continue a sentence. And so another word, they try to mix the words so that it becomes a forced speech. Like, say I'm saying the coffee is delicious today, and I really love coffee. They'll say the cafe is yellow. They'll try to manipulate the sentence so that I say it incorrectly.
Well, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I get that where I'll say burn in hell, and then right when I'm saying hell, they'd be like heavenly bliss.
Yeah, and what
Just
they do
saying hell to heaven in the middle of the word automatically.
exactly, and what these guys do, and women, I have a lot of women on my channel, is they will just try to tie anything at any time, and I have some that are overly, they like to show off, and they want to speak, so they want me to start speaking about what they're thinking, and the whole point is to try to trap your mind in their thought train of thought, which my group, I will say, and I've said it all over the globe, everywhere I've been, they have the average mentality of an 8-year old.
Yeah,
They
they're like
can't.
elementary school bullies.
That's exactly correct. Just with neural weapons to murder and torture
Yeah.
instead of your typical school athletic basketball and whatever you
People
have
got to be
crayons.
extra careful about these techniques that they're using because a lot of what they're doing is pacing and leading, using implied causative presuppositions. It's NLP that they're
Right.
using, but they're trying to
Correct.
force rapport. They want hypnotic rapport to create what we can call a Stockholm syndrome because this is how they get your guard down because they want to do their programming. So you got to constantly reject and rebuke them and everything they're saying, but not let it down your vibes and get to you.
Right.
But
And I've been very, very fortunate since the day this technology has been placed upon me. I always knew that it was not real. It wasn't part of me. And the very first words I said to them when they turned everything on for their big murder drama, for their big thing, when they did all this, was I said, "You're just a group of bunch of stupid, dumb jarheads." And that's all I could think. And I said, "This is something military. This is something synthetic." And I have used those words since 2016. And then I was very, you know, I'm very smart, incredibly smart, and I'm very resourceful. And I started learning very quickly. I think I learned information quicker than the typical target because they don't. When it happens, of course, you don't know what your left hand and your right hand is going through. All you know is you're going through excruciating pain, and your life is being destroyed. Your bank accounts are being uh, every penny you have is being destroyed. Smear campaigns are coming out. You're being lied about to all of the people that have always loved you and been your best friend. You're losing your job, and the cards are stacked against you more than any living soul should go through. And once I realized that, I knew it was very methodical and it was thought out. And this is not just something random. I started learning very quickly, and I learned the words, which I don't really use the word gang stalking, but it is a valid, true word that you should use. It is a legal word. Once I learned about the Havana syndrome and the neuroweapons on me, I have stuck with that. Organized crime, I consistently use that word because they are. I use terrorists because they are terrorists. And they are doing an act of crimes against humanity. So I use all those legal words all the time, and I
I call
educate.
them scum of life.
Yeah,
That's my
they
term.
are. They are.
Scum of life.
I call them blood sucking parasites
SOL.
because they can't cope. They have to live on you,
Yeah,
and
they live on our soul. They live
yeah,
on our
yeah.
energy.
But what
They
they
like to dehumanize and try to you know deface or deteriorate your image and make you like demonize and devilize you to other people so they can feel better about the demonic, devilish, evil stuff that they're doing, and they try to get everyone else to do it with them. And I think
it's
it's
really
purely demonic
nuts.
and evil what they're doing.
Yeah, I am sold globally, uh, and confirmed that I know for a fact. It may be more now, in 22 countries, and they all can link in, and link in at the same time or link in all different time zones, and attack me. And then I can. What I have happened, I think they put so much technology in me. I feel like I'm just a walking antenna. I can, I have learned to be able, most people, if you have what's called synthetic telepathy, V2K, Havana syndrome, besides all their talking nonsense, I have three layers of it. So I have the rude words that come through, and they're whatever they want to talk about, and they can hit me in real time and talk to me directly. And there's some that think they're smart and they're not. And then I will have everything from the Weather Channel to the news station to radio stations. I can pick all that up, and I'll have three layers going at all times on me. But what this group, I have learned to be able to hear them outside of the technology. So I can walk down because when V2K and synthetic telepathy, you can physically hear it going through trees and bushes and off cars and off metal, through your pipes and your plumbing, through your kitchen and your restrooms. You
Yeah,
can
I've
pick
had
it
other
up.
people say that they can, use sounds around you and embed,
Yes,
layer in their voices in the sounds.
yes,
I
and
think
so
that
I can.
is that as
But
well.
so when they're actually like talking to each other, or they're clicking in on their little quote quote private system so they can say, hey, I want you to burn Katie's hair, that's not going through the same system as what's going through for Havana syndrome or a V2K or synthetic telepathy. That's going through their system where they're trying to communicate with each other.
We want to
Uh,
reiterate too to people that they're not just making sounds, put it in people's heads. They're not just talking random gibberish. They're using hypnotic neuro linguistic programming (NLP) techniques and doing psychic driving to perform menticide. And they're
right,
trying
it's
to mind
psychotronic.
control and brainwash people.
Right, I think it's called psychotronic weapons.
Yeah,
Um,
they're not just these aren't people with schizophrenia. These are people that are being mind controlled like it's MK Ultra on crack. Sorry
right.
for my name.
Yeah, so this is the new improved version. But it's what's happened is because of Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, all this technology has gotten into the hands of the bottom of the barrel scumbags. And they can buy this software for $29 anywhere in the world, and link in through Helium, Explorer, the dark web, whatever avenue they go through, and they can click on to you through any form of Wi Fi.
There's
Uh,
multiple kinds of programming too, people. There's alpha programming, there's beta sex kitten programming for trafficking, there's delta programming for creating, super soldiers and assassins and stuff like
right.
that. There's all kinds of different programming that they've been using for apparently going back to Egyptian times. They've been doing mind control. But this goes to Operation Paperclip, the last Holocaust that they were running. Now they're still the same people running the same things right now. You know.
Right, right. So yes, I mean it's this MK Ultra and synthetic telepathy in Havana has been very, very strong, and it's improved. So they say, improved or gotten more popular since the 40s, 1940s. Um, so what happens with me is I am sold and I am like that. I'm on neuro remote monitoring, so they can physically move my arms. There's not a body part I own or a body function that I own. I don't swallow on my own. I don't blink my eyes on my own. I don't go to the restroom on my own. I'm not allowed to do any body function alone. So they can make my eyes water. They can force me to sneeze. They can force me to cough. Um, but they also move my limbs and they do some very, very cruel things to my body on a regular basis. I was a very small frame, very tiny, like a dancer body. And when I was hit with this technology, I weighed maybe about 100 to 105. And I wasn't small for, if you met me, I didn't look like a little tiny, extra skinny girl. I'm just a smaller frame, but I'm not short. I'm almost 5'4". So I was just a smaller frame, but I was the right weight for my body because I worked out every day and I ate healthy, and I was really at a very, very good weight. And what they do is they can lift my arms, they burn my hair, they swell my feet. I've had 17 bones, maybe more now, broken just by all this technology, by the yanking on the shoulders. They can put. When I was in an airport, I they mess with my airlines and traveling all the time. I'm stuck in airports. I can be stuck in an airport for 3 days. They try to mess up everything. Total chaos. If you stick with me, I always say there's going to be a dramatic problem, whether a huge car wreck or an airplane problem. There's going to be some big problem, and it's not just a little mishap. These people like to cause total destruction. And one day I had to stay in the New York airport, and there's no chairs there to sleep in. So I spoke to an employee of one of the airlines, and she says, "Here, come over to where I do my tickets and my where I am." She says, "Stay here. It's safe." And I actually slept. You know where you put your suitcases through to weigh them to get them to go through the conveyor to get onto the plane. That's where I sat. So I got in there in that little silver square metal detecting magnet thing. And as I sat there, all of a sudden they put extra weight on me, and you can watch the scale go up from what I weighed, and then they were putting an additional 30 pounds of weight on me with the microwave weaponry and how heavy it can become on you. And it can physically crush a car. It can physically destroy a building, a house. That's how heavy these military drones can add weight to something. And
Now,
I
you,
get
you
that.
mentioned drones there. I was just going to ask you, just as a theory, or if you have any information about, what they might be using to, produce these electromagnetic waves. Do you believe
Yeah,
it's
on
drones?
the yeah. Well, they're going to click into Wi-Fi anywhere they can first, and if they can't click into the Wi-Fi and they can't click into all the little 5G towers surrounding the area you're in, they will switch to the military drones and follow you around. And it's very easy to see a military drone if you know how to look for them and to see the pattern. They will go into a figure eight, and it'll move around like a figure eight, and it covers a big area, and it moves kind of slow, but you'll see the flow of the trees move. You'll see, you'll see how if you know how to look for it, you'll see how like a bush will move to a tree will move, and you'll start seeing the figure eight flow and how it works. So I
I
can
actually
see.
didn't believe the drone thing because there's a lot of people saying drones were following them. And I tried it one day.
Well,
I was in LA and I looked up above me and I actually noticed a drone that I thought was following me. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep walking. And I walked for over 4 hours straight for
and it
miles,
stays with you, and
and
it
it
stays with you.
created me right
Yeah.
over my head.
Yep. No,
Mhm.
I have them all over me all the time. I think primarily Lockheed Martin because they can hit 100 million people at one time with their technology. So and Lockheed Martin and Raytheon are out of Texas. So I think me being from Texas, that's where all that started. And so yeah, I you can hang out with me and we could see him all over the place. I get Elon Musk all around me too. His little drone system now.
Oh, that's the SpyNet or the
Yeah,
Skynet
the
Neuralink, right?
Skynet. Yep, yep. It's around me
Starlink.
24/7 too.
He just posted on Twitter saying that they're in control of the AI now, that he's not in control of it, that the ruthless corporate something, a monopoly is in control of the AI now. So he's been warning us ever since, they're summoning the demon, he said, or they're doing some evil stuff. So people need to really take it seriously. Like, it's not Elon Musk doing it, it's the people that
Right,
control the the satellites and stuff.
right. You're
They needed
exactly
him to be
correct
a
on
punk.
there. So it's interesting. In the Starbucks I was just in, there wasn't a soul in there, and then all of a sudden, you start talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden, six people just surround you. So I'm moving right now to where it's more quiet, and there'll be less noise and less people
You get like
around.
the Agent Smith effect, where
Yeah,
people they turn to
exactly.
Agent Smiths.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
So
they don't
I,
care about what the truth is, but they care a lot. Like, they don't care about anything until you start speaking the truth, and then all of a sudden they care. They don't care what the
exactly.
truth is, but they care that you're speaking it, and they'll get violent.
No,
It doesn't make any sense. It's like they
no,
must
it
be
just.
mind controlled or something.
Yeah, well, I firmly believe that all my perps globally are already on this technology, and they don't realize they are because they're anybody that is beyond obsessed has to be on this technology because a natural, normal person doesn't get obsessed.
People have cognitive dissonance, and they've been programmed. Like, they're trying to program us to have multiple personalities. They made people think that way, so that way, like, they say, "Oh, we need truth. Truth sets us free. We want the truth. We don't want to be lied to." But then if they hear us speak the truth, they're like, "Yeah, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear it." They're like flip flopping on a root
Exactly.
personal level. They want the truth, but on a societal, politically correct level, no, you can't say that.
No, you
Yeah.
can't. The truth, and that's where I am actually tied in with this technology directly to the journalist Julian Assange, and they're trying to murder him. So I've had to move where it's a little bit noisier. So I apologize. So now I've gone from next door to Starbucks, and now I'm in Smoothie King because where I had moved, a security guard said that they're not allowing people to sit in there on the weekend. So now
Have
I'm in
they
Smoothie.
affected your job? There's been a
Oh,
lot of people talking about, workplace mobbing, trying to get you to commit crimes by ruining your ability to make legal money. Have they
uh,
attacked you there?
well, in Texas, I've lived all over the world. I lived in London. I graduated from university in London, lived in Dublin, Ireland, lived in South Africa. I lived all over the place, and I was very fortunate. I worked very hard. Was willing to do whatever it takes to be successful within the right realm. I'm not saying to harm anybody or anything. I was willing to put in the extra hours to learn the job correctly and do it in an ethical manner that my employer would love me and I would help the public. I've always been involved in the public relations, journalism, high school English teacher. Uh, I was the dealer trade manager of Toyota, and I worked with every Toyota dealership in 5 states. So that's a lot of car dealerships from Texas, Louisiana, uh, Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma. I got them all. So it may not have been Alabama. I can't remember. It's been a few years. But I've always I've always been an overachiever, and I've always tried to do things right. and I earned my way up the ladder. I didn't step on people's toes. I did it the right way. That success, how you should get successful. Um, so I'm sorry, I lost track of what my statement. So what was your question again? Because I
The
got distracted
question
because
was,
listening to everybody.
did they, when you were doing the right
Oh
thing
yeah,
and being a
right. Oh
productive
right.
member of
Oh yes,
society, destroy that for you so you couldn't?
yes. So they
And
did. I got a phone call from my stepfather one day, and I was always very close to my family. But I'm an only child. I have a stepbrother and a stepsister, and I've always been a free spirit. I've always just done whatever I wanted, and I, I can stand on my own feet. And I never worried about standing. I knew I'd never be in trouble. I knew that I could always stand on my own feet, and I would always be able to help a family member, a friend in need. Always, I never worried about that. I got a phone call in 2015 from my stepfather, and he says, uh, we would like you to come home and stay with us for a while. And I was like, why? And he just said, we miss you. You've been in Houston a couple of years, and we just really would like you to come home. And I was led to believe, and this is where the mind manipulation came in before they hit me with the technology. From that phone call, I was led to believe that my parents, my mom might have been ill, or my stepfather might have been ill, and they didn't want to tell me. But I always knew that if my parents were ever in trouble, I would go home and take care of them. So I said, okay, I'll come and move back for a little while. And the only reason why I did is because I thought one of them was ill, and that's where the it started coming in. Once I got back to Bernie, I couldn't get a job. Once I got back to through Texas, I started not being able to get a job, and this was all planned. So that phone call, my parents are on mind control, and they don't know it, but they also are on the hate software, and that's where we all three, my mother, my stepfather, and I, started having problems. Um, so I stayed in Bernie for a few months, and
by
I
the hate software, you're talking about that Agent Smith effect where they reject truth and what you're saying.
exactly. Exactly. So I was incredibly bored. I got too isolated too quickly, which is not my personality. I'm not I get involved with everything from volunteer work to music to art classes to everything. I'm not one just to sit at home and watch TV. That's not my thing at all. I'm always involved in doing something, working, and all of a sudden I couldn't get a job. Well, I took a few months off because I thought for my to see if my parents were going to be okay. And I needed a little break because I work around the clock nonstop. So it's quite
Have you
happy.
ever had rumors spread about you at your workplace at any jobs that you couldn't
Uh,
explain, things
I
stalking
did.
them?
I at the time at my previous jobs, no, but when I started getting targeted at my last job, I had they. I think there was a smear campaign and rumors that went through.
That's
So
what it's called, a smear campaign.
yeah, smear campaigns they love to do. And they've tried it so many times on me, it's unbelievable. And what I want to tell anybody that's listening, and including you, hold your head high and stay quiet. Stand up and be the bigger person and the better person. Because what happens with smear campaigns, it's just a bunch of group of jerks that go around and they try to say something and put that seed of doubt in someone that's usually not one of your closest friends. And there's usually, they hit someone that usually likes to drink too much. Like in New Orleans, everybody drinks. So they'll go hit someone they'll go attack someone that's had, say, their drink limit's 3 and they're on their 5th drink, and then they'll start meddling with their mind to put the smear campaign in and plant that seed of doubt about who you are as a person. And then, of course,
Uh,
smear campaigns are meant to spread like wildfires. You know how
I will be
rumors.
right back. We're still recording. I have to
Okay.
leave the camera. I'm getting a phone in, a call in, but
Oh, you know what? Is the camera on? Can you see me?
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. Is the camera on? Because I can't see you.
You can't see me here?
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Oh my gosh.
That's weird.
That's been terrible.
Let me
Okay,
leave and
so
come right
I
back again.
apologize. Yeah, so I
I'll be right
apologize
back.
because I didn't think there was any camera on.
Wait, does it work now?
No, it doesn't.
I'll be
So
right
I
back.
had no idea there was a camera on. So I apologize to everybody.
I don't know. I think it's showing me in the video, but I'm not sure here.
So if I hit this camera on my where it says me, will that change? Should I try that?
Yeah, we'll change it. Yeah, it should turn
Okay.
it off and on. Do something.
Connection not available. Bitrate not available. Say no.
Um, I
Let's
don't
see
know.
what this does. Stop everyone's video. So I apologize. I had no idea there was a camera on.
Oh,
So,
no.
so we'll start this whole thing over. Yeah. So things have gone. The smear campaigns are nonstop, and it's meant to hurt every. It does. They try to destroy you as a person, and put a bad vibe about you. What happens is the people that are involved are actually getting hurt too because they care about you. Smear campaigns are terrible. So what I tell anybody is hold your head up, bite your tongue, because 90% of the time that smear campaign will fly over and the people that were starting it aren't anywhere around. They've moved or they don't come around your friends anymore. And your friends don't remember it because they're when they're using neuro weapons, they do what I call like a gas effect because they turn the megahertz up so high that it kind of bashes their brain in a way. It's the best way I can describe it. So it snaps them and it shocks them. So you can have a conversation with someone and they won't ever remember it. So when it comes to smear campaigns, just hold your head high, be the better person, and it will pass. And I have proven that every time that a smear campaign has come out, I've always come out, and my friends and coworkers have gotten closer to me. So that's a good thing.
Um,
Uh, what else would you like to know?
um, what's something that you can let the government know and the people worldwide know that will help them see that the people that are being targeted are not terrorists, they're not threats, they're not being they're not the things that they're being called.
Right.
So they can
This
help
is
them instead of the
this
perpetrators.
this is the heartbreaking thing. One of my very very first interviews that when I was finding friends that were targeted, I have a friend named Jax, and she lives in California. And she wanted to find out a little bit about me as being a journalist. I said, well, I was a former journalist. I was a high school student. She goes, oh my gosh. She says they always go after the smart, outgoing women. And there are many, many, many targets that have never broken the law. And the stigma is it's your typical uh, person that's not a good person. They drink too much, they do too many drugs, they're dishonest, they have a tendency to get in jail. That's not the case. Many, many, many targets are highly ethical, incredibly smart, incredibly creative, and they've never done anything wrong. And they're what's happening now, these what I like I said, the blood sucking parasites, gang stalking that are using this technology, they feed on they are starting to go after the better people. In my case, they go after and this doesn't sound racist in any way. I mean, they go after every nationality everywhere, as we know. In my case, my group has a thing for going after white women and destroying their looks. So it's a race thing against
Well, I've
me.
noticed a
And
lot of the targets are mostly female, and it seemed to be mostly white women.
well, I have so many friends in the target world of every nationality, but the police that target me, the police women that target me are predominantly Hispanic or black. And the male policemen are and policemen that are intimidated by a strong woman. And I'm not strong as an aggressive. I just know who I am as a person. And what they have done, they've done some very cool things to ruin and destroy my looks. I used to be very pretty. They have actually cut the muscles in my cheeks. They have cut the muscles in my forehead. They have cut the muscles in my eyes. They have cut the muscles here at my lower mouth. They have cut the muscles in my neck. So things droop. And what they do is they do a swelling process. I don't know how that exactly works with the megahertz and a gas combination is all I can figure. And what they do is they swell me. So I'll be thin, and then all of a sudden I'm swollen up identically to like a puffer fish. And they love to swell my abdomen and my calves.
Well, I've actually seen a lot of women that are targeted that have said the same thing, that they're doing something with directed energy at their faces, at their even, genital areas, trying to force them to engage in activities and, experience feelings and, there's all kinds of sick, heinous things that they're doing to people. They're
Yeah,
like,
my hair is constantly burned. My chest, they swell me. I was when I got attacked, I was a 32A. Now I'm like, I don't know, a C plus. I mean, they swell anything. They swell my arms. They swell everything. Um, it's just a crazy process. And the weight that I carry now is over 50% of my weight. So I'm over 150 pounds now, which is far too heavy for my frame. So what this group tries to do is make me look like a middle-aged, has-been, worn-out mother. I have no children, and they've destroyed my capability to have children. They have destroyed my reproductive system with this technology, which is very, very sad. No one has the right to harm your body the way that they do. And with my group, they like to burn symbols and words on me. I have burns of stars on my nose. I have letters, the backwards letter E under my eye. I have a penis burned on the side of my neck. I have a satanic star burned in the middle of my neck. I have a heart with speckles on the side of my arm. And someone said, "Don't talk about the burns that are on you." And I worked very hard to hide them. I tried to take care of my skin as much as possible. And someone said, "Well, they'll think you did it." You can't burn your body from the inside out. These are burns that can be proven that it's coming from the inside out, not from, someone taking something and burning it
Now,
on the stove.
as far as the burns go, are these happening when you're not knowing about it?
Oh, I feel everything. I mean, it can happen. Like they can burn a symbol right here on my forehead while you're watching, and you will see it happen. It turns. You know how, um, when you get a burn, it turns red. It will turn red for a minute, and then it'll go. But it'll
They
be
could
actual.
be using
I have.
technology to direct like a laser or something, some
It's
kind
like a laser. It's the best way to do it. So when they're running their technology, and they run what is called, the legal term is called a hologram. And so that's how the lasers of the microwave weaponry hits me. So they'll have very specific points, and say they're running a hologram of a heart. It will stay in that one place and it'll follow you until it makes the burn, and then they'll move over. I have what I call a jack symbol, where it's an X with the little round balls on it. I have that burned all over my body, from big X jacks to small X jacks. They like to do it around my chest. They like to do it around my forehead. They have actually, with this technology, in legal term, it's also called brain cookers or brain squishers. They have stretched my forehead, and they have changed the shape of my head, putting so much pressure on it. So
I've heard that they have quantum supercomputers and that they could manipulate matter, atoms, molecules, and
yes, and
hack reality.
that is true. And they've cut the
Yeah,
muscles in my calves. I used to have incredibly beautiful legs. I was known for my smile, and I had a trademark for my smile, and I had a trademark for my legs. And they have cut the muscles in my calves so that my calves are shaped differently. They have
Um,
cut the muscles in my arm to make it. What they have tried to do was they've worked very hard to make me look like a completely different person. Friends and family, friends that knew me or coworkers that knew me 5 years ago to today, they don't, they barely even know it's me until I speak. And they have changed the sound of my voice too. They mess with my voice box and vocal cords all the time. Um, until I speak to them and say, "Hey, it's me, Katie," and they look at me and they instinctively want to hug me because they're so hurt that I have lost my looks. And so I educate everybody I speak to. I don't tell them I have weaponry on me. I don't say I'm a target. What I do tell them is I'm a victim of, excuse me, police brutality. Everybody understands that there are corrupt police. Texas is notorious for it. Louisiana is notorious for it. So once I told them I'm a victim of police brutality and police misconduct, they embraced me. So I educate them on that. You cannot throw everything that we go through with Havana syndrome, neuroweapons onto the typical person. They can't.
yeah. I
They,
just
they
tell
can't
people it's
comprehend
just
it.
evil devilry. I
Yeah,
tell them it's pure evil devilry happening beyond the police and the governments. They don't even know, a lot of them. You know,
right.
it's pure
Well,
evil that's taking
what
place.
what I find incredibly heartbreaking is that the people that have taken an oath to be good are organized criminals, and what that means is if people that are police, firemen, people that work as doctors or EMS or attorneys or anybody that has taken a role to be good is abusing their power, and this is what this program holds, and it's that's what breaks my heart completely. To have our government agencies from the CIA to the DoD to the FBI to the NSA involved is alarming. And I, to this day, I don't really think that anybody in the states is really going to help us. But I do know, and I firmly believe this because I've traveled all over the world now, and I have seen this technology all over and what it does to other countries and what it's doing to innocent victims is the other countries are banding together to get it stopped. And the
It
number one,
sounds insane until you talk to other people, and then
right,
you're not crazy. Because
right,
they'll make you think you're crazy. They gaslight you so much they'll have you question what you already know, that you ain't
right,
crazy. But
right.
once you talk to other people, you're like, all right, I know I'm not crazy because they're experiencing in the hundreds of millions worldwide daily the same thing. So,
Right, right, targeted justice out of Houston, Texas, just put the big lawsuit in, and it's already been kicked back, and they're still trying to work on it. And Anna Toledo said a very good thing. People can't overlook when there are so many people going through the same problem now.
exactly.
Uh,
They'll
it's finally
run
gotten
all these
to
vaccination agendas and stuff for if there's 100 people that get a virus, but when there's 100 million or several 100 million people that are experiencing the same assaults, not symptoms,
right.
they don't give a shit.
Right. So, and that's what's happening. The world is finally waking up to the problem of neuroweapons and direct energy weapon and Havana syndrome. I'm very lucky. I actually have an appointment with Dr. Hoffman in Florida next month. I am not going in as a Havana syndrome victim, but I'm going in about my ears, which they'll pick up all the technology on.
Yeah, we
Uh,
gotta be careful with those terms too, because they're using these terms to reduce everything down. And when they
Correct.
call it syndrome, and now it
Exactly.
sounds like an illness. It's something that's temporary. It's just a freak accident. It's just all in your head, but it's
Right.
not. It's
Well,
all connected.
right, and Dr. Hoffer was the director, the doctor that helped all the Havana syndrome victims in Cuba, all the diplomats. So he is known to do and understand this technology in and out. And what he does is he does Havana syndrome, and then he does direct energy weaponry. He does two different ways. So he knows. And supposedly he got threatened and they tried to tell him to stop doing it, but he's not. So I'm just going in to get my ears checked.
Yeah, I
And
think
we're
they
going to
set
go
us
that
up with
route.
that term because Havana puts it in one location. It's Havana. It's not everywhere. And
Right.
syndrome makes it sound like I said, like an illness or something. They're trying to cover it up with all these terms, I think. They're trying to distract us and divide us. Instead of being targeted individuals, they're going to say schizophrenics, people with voices, people
Yeah.
being burned,
Uh,
burned.
and, and what's heartbreaking, my family are all doctors and attorneys, and they're all very good, kind, wonderful people. And not one of us has ever done anything wrong. And we were always the first to help anybody in need. And my stepfather has had his law business before my mother. This is my mother remarried to my stepfather. So he had his law firm right out of university. He was an FBI agent, very well respected, and then he became an attorney. So he had his business as the first attorney in Bernie, Texas. And the people that came and deliberately lied, sat in front of my parents and lied, were policemen that my parents knew for years. I was respected and loved in the community. And then they came up with this plan of greed because they get paid money to do this, a lot of money. When you get put on this program, it's anywhere from $1 million to $3 million, depending on the company that's given to get this technology started on you.
Right.
So there was a terrible greed factor, and I will never forgive these policemen in Bernie, Texas, that did that. And I will always call out every policeman, every agent, anybody that has done something illegally. I have every single name and I put it out there, and I will always hold them accountable. What's nice now, uh, people that are doing this, they fall under the crimes against humanity, and that they never get out of it. So if they did this crime 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there's not a window. They will be held accountable, which is good. And people are getting thrown in jail, and people are getting caught now. The cyber crimes are a little bit tougher, but they're starting to hit these jerks with the bank accounts now. So Interpol and Europol are much stronger than we are here in the states, and they're really being proactive about fighting this, which I'm very glad about.
It's
And then,
good.
of course, the neuro rights protection in Chile. So the other countries are starting that are near Chile are starting to put that in place too.
Yeah, because
Uh,
there's no thing set in place right now to
right.
defend us from being attacked, being hacked in our brains.
I
And
know
there's
that.
no technology for people to protect their brains from being influenced.
Right. Yeah. So Chile has come up with ways for neuro rights, and I hope that we can get to some other countries. I did meet with the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. I got there, which was a great thing. And I told you on the phone, I also got to meet Nils Melzer. He was the torture rapporteur for the United Nations. How I discovered him was through Julian Assange, who has this technology put on him, and he's trapped in Belmarsh prison, which is the
Right.
worst prison
Yeah,
in
that's
London.
that's one thing
Uh,
that if you're in prison, another thing to be there.
right, and the reason he was put in prison was for telling the truth. So they're
Yeah.
trying to get him on war crimes for being a journalist. So to this day, I don't know why I was chosen. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't make anybody angry. I didn't have an ex boyfriend. What it came from was Bernie, Texas police were coming into my family's home, stealing stuff from mine, and then got into involved with the online dating for murder. And that's premeditated. And that's how all this came about.
Wow.
So it's really heartbreaking how many people have been involved for torture on me. And
I
to,
think it should be obvious for people. I mean, we know that the government's hacking into people's phones, their
correct,
computers,
correct,
anything they can. Why
correct.
wouldn't you believe that they're trying to get in your brain? They're in your brains. Your brain.
Well, with everything out there now, it's It's all coming out. So every day and every week, more and more people are getting more educated about
Yeah.
neuroweapons and
There's
cyber
MK
weapons.
Ultra right there too for people. There's COINTELPRO, the FBI. They were counterintelligence. There's the Finder scandal. They were kidnapping people's kids and bringing them
I've been
underground.
I've been kidnapped. I was kidnapped. So
There's
I've
some
had it all. Yeah. So I don't know
crazy.
how much money they made for that little murder drama. They put me in all kinds of stupid little scenarios. There's a daily scenario of some kind of stupid